Hello, I'm Ivaila, and the topic that I'm going to be discussing today is reality under review, while also posing the hypothetical question, are we players in a simulated universe? First thing we're going to be discussing today is the digital physics argument by Konrad Zuse. The digital physics is a speculative idea that suggests the universe might work like a giant computer. In the rise of the digital age, we are starting to notice significant similarities between our world and the world of virtual reality. In this view, reality is not made of particles or fields, but information, kind of like bits in a computer. And the universe evolves the exact way a computer program runs. So, this idea was first proposed by Konrad Zuse in 1969 when he suggested that space itself might be calculating. A bit later on, Edward Fredkin expanded on this idea and made up the term digital physics. According to this theory, there could be a universal computer program that calculates everything that happens in the universe. Some people imagine this as something like a massive cellular automaton or device where simple rules and patterns produce complex behavior with time, over time. Some important mentions here are two separate theories from this theory that add on to this one actually. Both of them are by Brian Whitworth. The first one is called the objective reality hypothesis that says our world is physical, exists in and of itself, and needs nothing outside of it to explain it. The second one, it is called the virtual reality hypothesis, claims that our world exists by depending upon information processing happening outside of space and time. Brian Whitworth says that virtual reality fits well with the Big Bang. As funny as this sounds, he states that no virtual reality can have existed forever since it needs a processor to start it up. Every time one starts a computer game, he says, such a Big Bang occurs. All of his arguments are supported by the fact that even reality gets pixelized just like an image or a picture does. Everything in our world and the universe is made of a finite number of atoms, which basically means that the universe is most likely computable. There is practically nothing that a person can't compute, and so far there hasn't been any evidence against that. Actually, there has been made a book exactly on this matter, which is called Calculating the Cosmos by Ian Stewart. As the book goes deeper into how all of this works, you can see the cover of the book on the next slide. However, digital physics faces some serious problems and limitations, if I have to be honest. For example, many of its models struggle to match important symmetries in modern physics, such as rotational symmetry and the symmetry of space and time, for example. And that is why digital physics remains an interesting philosophical and theoretical idea, but it's still not one that actually fits with experimental physics. The second hypothesis I will discuss is that of the mathematical universe. What is interesting here is that it kind of correlates with the digital physics argument, only with a slight but significant difference. Max Tegmark's idea, called the mathematical universe hypothesis, is a bold way of thinking about reality. Instead of seeing math as just a tool that we use to describe the universe, Tegmark suggests that the universe is actually mathematics itself. So basically, reality isn't just described by math, it is math. Tegmark doesn't necessarily say that we're living in a simulation, but he does set up the philosophical foundation that makes this idea very possible because if the universe is purely mathematical, then there would be nothing strange about it being computable or programmable, just like a computer is, or just like a simulation is. The third aspect of my research on the matter of simulation is based on the main ideas of the book Power Knowledge by Michael Foucault, which actually are heavily related to Descartes' Cartesian evil genius hypothesis. The book is a collection of interviews and essays, and its core idea is that power and knowledge are inseparable. They go together, basically. What we accept as truth is shaped by systems of power and authority. He does not say that power is only governments or police, or that knowledge is just natural facts that we somehow discovered. He's saying that power is everywhere in our everyday lives, and the truth depends on who gets to define it. We usually think that power stops us from doing things, but according to Foucault, it also creates categories: sane, insane, normal, abnormal, healthy, or sick, and so on. So once these categories exist, people start living according to them. What he also states in this book is that knowledge is never neutral. It always comes from institutions and is actually meant to serve someone else's interest. Therefore, institutions shape the way that we think. Schools, hospitals, prisons, even media, all of them don't just control people, they actually train people to think in certain ways. You learn how to behave, how to describe yourself, how to judge others, even. So over time, you kind of police yourself, as funny as this sounds. And according to Foucault, the most effective kind of power is the one that makes people regulate themselves, because this way they believe it's just because they are doing things right in life, they're just doing the right thing. So, how does all of this relate to the theory that we might live in a simulation? This is where it gets interesting. Most simulation hypotheses usually ask this one question: what if reality is generated by an underlying system that we cannot control and aren't even aware of? Foucault helps explain how that system would work socially, even inside of the simulation. What we get from this is that reality doesn't need to be fake in order to be controlled. So, even if we are not in a computer simulation, our experiences in reality are already regulated in a way and filtered through norms, through rules, patterns, the desire to be liked, and so on. So computers aren't needed to simulate reality because society already does that. And even if we actually were in a simulation, chances are we would probably never know about it because power would never let us find out. If I were to choose a position that I agree the most with, it would definitely be the one of Foucault, because if we can't even trust the people that are supposed to protect us, or the one source that is supposedly telling the truth, such as the news, then how could we ever truly understand what reality is? So, to conclude my presentation, I would like to say that as we live in a world where it is pretty hard to tell which is real and which isn't, what is right and what is wrong, allowing ourselves to think more on such topics and being more aware of them and raising awareness to others helps us move in the right direction as a society. This is the bibliography where I listed all of the sources that I've used for all three aspects of my research. I hope you found this presentation interesting. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for your time and attention.